Succession is one of my favourite shows going at the moment, not least due to the soundtrack. It's an amazingly well written score by Nicholas Britell, and I'd love to delve into it a little bit deeper today. But before we get into it, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, leave a comment and put the notifications bell on. It really helps the channel out. This is what makes the Succession soundtrack great. My name is Louis Taylor. I'm a composer and a producer based in Bristol. Welcome if you're new. So as you can tell, the soundtrack to Succession is really good, just based off of that main theme on the piano. But as always with these episodes, I like to delve into the actual cues within the score itself to try and get a better idea for what makes it so great. So I think one big reason for this is based around the themes that are used in the show, but also the overall tone of the soundtrack, which is something really important for most soundtracks to consider. And I think that Nicholas Britell has perfectly assessed what is necessary for the tone of this soundtrack, by using more classical sounding music, kind of a little bit of modern stuff in there occasionally, but a lot of it's very traditional strings, a bit of piano, occasionally a little bit of smaller orchestra, and it's very traditional sounding. Let's jump over to the piano and we'll talk a little bit more about this in detail. So I want to go back and delve into tone. The tone of the soundtrack is always something that really kind of holds a lot of value in the score, because it's kind of what makes up the entire mood of everything. And it's something that allows you to kind of have an overall consistent sound. So what is the tone for this soundtrack? I think that for this one, it is very much around class and sort of pompousness and taking yourself too seriously. Specifically in relation to the Roy family. If you haven't seen Succession, they're basically so rich that they almost seem like a royal family, and they kind of act like they're a royal family. They really feel like they're above everybody else in the entire world, because to some extent they are really. I mean, they have all the power they could possibly need. Anything that they want disappeared, like any bad news or anything, it's gone. They control the media. They've got all the money. It's their friend. He's on the phone to the president all the time. They're essentially like an American royal family to some extent. At least that's how they see it themselves. So that's where the tone comes into it. And I think Nicholas Britell has this amazing piece of music. And basically it always plays when they're going to some sort of high class event, or they're having a big ball or a wedding or something like that. So I'll give you a little demonstration on the piano, but before I do that, I just want to talk about a little bit about what to listen out for. Listen out for the kind of overall pompous nature. I recommend you go and check out this track. I'll link it in the description. Basically the harmonies and everything in there are very simple, very classical. It almost sounds like something out of Beethoven's Piano Concerto No. 5 or something like that, but even more kind of pompous than that, really. But it's definitely a really good piece of music at the same time. So I'm going to just give you a little demonstration of that now, and then we can move on to the next point. So here's this. So, as you can tell, very pompous, beautiful sounding piece of music, and my piano playing probably isn't doing it that much justice, so I'll link it in the description. Definitely check it out. In any case, I'd like to move on to the next reason why I think that this soundtrack is so great, and that is power. I think this soundtrack has a lot of it, and also, again, another tonal part of it, of the soundtrack, in summary, is power, and the power that this family hold. And I think the music actually does replicate that a lot, not least in the main theme, where it has this kind of really classy bass kind of oriented, melody oriented piano piece. But there's a really interesting track called Furioso in F minor, which is just for strings. And it's very simple, it really is, but it has so much emphasis on the kind of harmony and the attack of the strings and this kind of momentum that's happening. I really kind of feel like it's a great kind of backing score to the family kind of walking in to kind of head to something. They've got a mission to complete. They've got so much power, they're going to use it. They've got some sort of purpose that they're really kind of leaning into, and the music kind of really reflects that. So it kind of uses these very basic chords, just like the main theme, you know, it's just kind of based around 4 chords really, with a little bit of extra stuff going on here and there, especially in the string arrangement. So once again, I'll leave that in the description below because you should check it out. But I'll play you what I can play on the piano and you can kind of get the gist of that, because I think it's a great example of a powerful soundtrack, and I think that works really well in this. So here we go. I just love that piece of music, and I think that you should definitely go and listen to it once again. It's just a really powerful piece, and again, my piano playing does not do it justice. The strings are the main focus there, and they do a great job at emphasizing that power aspect I'm talking about. So definitely check that out. But one last point I'd like to talk about what makes this score so great, amongst a multitude of other reasons, is emotion, which is obviously something that is in most great scores. But I think it's kind of an interesting thing to have in this score, actually, because what's quite interesting is that there's actually a lot of kind of emotionlessness happening within these characters, you know, and that's kind of leads to actually being more emotional than most people would be. This is probably my favourite piece that I've heard across the whole 3 seasons that have been released so far. So I'm just going to play you that, and then we'll talk about it actually after I've played it. So here's that for now. So I don't know about you, but I just love that melody and the overall sound of it, and the way that it links with the main theme. It holds so much kind of all the attributes that I'm talking about: emotion, power, tone. It's got everything in one, and it's perfect for end credits, but it's also perfect for what's happening in the scene, which is that one of the main characters, Kendall, is basically having a mental breakdown. He's hiding from this kind of from all his problems. Basically, there's this big raid happening that he's caused, he's responsible for. So, you know, loads of dirt coming up on his father. He just feels horrible, and this music is very powerful and emotional. So let's just delve into a bit about why that actually is. So it starts off, I didn't play this just now on the piano, but it starts off with these really kind of nice chords that kind of carry you through the scene, and they kind of go like this. So first of all, I'd like to mention that I really like this kind of half diminished chord that he's using. It's an like an F half diminished chord. It's really, really nice. It's basically, or you could call it an F minor chord with an added sixth, but it's a lovely chord, and to kind of resolve from onto the sus and then to the 7 to eventually the 1. It's a really nice progression that kind of he uses a lot, and I think that it just kind of presents this really, you know, straight up emotional kind of layering for the back of the score and the overall tone. But as it's going along that and things start to get real, basically, you know, stuff starts to kind of hit the fan a little bit. Basically what happens is the music develops into this much more kind of, okay, we're picking up here, you know, the momentum's happening, and it kind of goes like this. And as that kind of finishes off, that's when the melody gets introduced, and you have this. Anyway, it goes on like that for a while, and it just develops and grows. And what's really nice about it is not only do you have the kind of progression happening, which is really, really lovely, and you've got all of this nice rich harmony and the rich kind of rhythmic stuff happening in the strings, but you then suddenly land on this very beautiful Neapolitan sixth chord. If you don't know what that is, it's essentially the flattened second chord. It's a major flattened second chord. So if I was in C minor, what you end up doing is you take the D minor chord and then you flatten it but keep it major. And what it is, it's essentially a precursor. It's a pre-5 chord, basically. And it's a very interesting out-of-nowhere substitute that really, really works well, especially in this more traditional, functional, classical harmony. And it works great, and it's very kind of unexpected, but also functional. And the way it's kind of used is it's a sort of substitute for, like I say, the 2 chord is a flattened second, but in a 2-5-1 progression, a lot of what classical music would do to have a nice smooth bass line is to have the F with the F, G, and then C in the bass. Now, a Neapolitan sixth chord is the same. You wouldn't really, because it's a little bit too dissonant, to have the C sharp in the bass. It's a little bit too much bass movement going on there. What you would really have, and this is why one of the reasons I think just generally first inversion chords are very emotional chords, but in this context even more so. That bass is beautiful. And then back to the C's. So you end up with, and then here's the Neapolitan sixth. Excuse that note. But yeah, you end up with that, and actually what he doesn't do is quite often resolved. He suspends that resolution for quite a few bars, I think. So basically what ends up happening is he goes a bit like this. That's not exactly what happens, but you get the gist. He suspends it, and then finally it resolves, and it's just a beautiful sounding moment. So I really, really recommend that you check that out, because it is insanely well written and beautiful, and the melody itself is one of the biggest reasons why I love it. It's beautiful, it's soaring, everything you want in that moment. So yeah, overall, brilliant score. There you have it. Why Succession soundtrack is amazing. So yeah, that's that. thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a thing or two, as always. Please stay tuned for the next one. I haven't decided what I'm going to be doing next week, but I'll definitely be doing one, so check it out. Please do subscribe, leave a thumbs up, comment, and ring that notification bell, and I'll see you next time. Thanks again. Bye for now.